In today's video, I'm going to show you how to get the best performance out of your Alesis 3630 using manual settings. And we're going to get started right now. Welcome to the Rhythm Studio, where we're talking percussion, music production, and music technology. I'm Warren Henry. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and the alert bell so that you can be notified when we're releasing new videos. That said, let's get into it. In the last video, we talked about how important time is as it relates to good compression settings. In today's video, we're going to expound on that topic with the Alesis 3630 compressor. So let's dive right in. Let's start with our threshold. This is the Alesis 3630. I'm going to achieve the same gain reduction goal of -3. Okay, that's our goal. So we're going to start the same way. I'll start with my threshold at -10. And you can see automatically we're triggering compression, but it's triggering way too far. It's at -6. So we want to achieve a gain reduction goal of -3. Let's change our ratio to 2:1. Because that's a good starting point for vocals. Change our attack time. Maybe let more of the transients through, or maybe not. Every compressor setting is going to be different. So here we are at the attack. We're at -2. Long release time of 3 seconds. So because we're not getting to -3, maybe we need to bump up the ratio just a bit. Or maybe not. How about let's change the threshold that is triggering at. Look what happens now. We're getting into the -3. So, okay. So let's change the attack time, make it faster. Let's back off the threshold a bit. And just like that, we're averaging -3 dB of gain reduction. Maybe change the release time. Let's go back. As opposed to 3 seconds, let's go with 2 seconds on the release time. Let's let more of the transients through. I changed the attack time, made it a little bit slow, let some of the transients through, and guess what we got? A gain reduction of -3. And with that, we're going to change our output to match. About +3. So you can see, even on the input-output side, we're set to output. You can see -2 is lighting, and we were going for -3. So we're getting that -1 dB variable in there, but we've achieved our gain reduction goal of -2. It's all the same thing. You know, time, tempo, release time, they all play into it. You know, a release time that is too fast is going to have it breathing, but we want to hold it so that it doesn't counteract the note value. You know, you have to consider the note value. You're recording music, so it's hard to ignore. But what's a fact is that you can see we are achieving our gain reduction goal of -3. And if I botch this up all over again, which I will do, just turn knobs randomly, I botched it, right? But here it is, I'm going to start again. If I'm recording vocals, I always start with -10 as a trigger point. A 2:1 ratio is a fair start, you know? If I had the attack time too fast, there is no gain reduction, so we need to trim transients a bit. You know, suppose you had a singer that didn't have good mic technique. You have to take that into consideration. So, you know, here we are with quick attack time. Let's hold it in the release time. Let's make the release time longer so that it doesn't counteract the note value of whatever it is that you're recording. It's all the same thing. So far we're just about getting our -3. What if we wanted more gain reduction, -5? We're just going to change the ratio a bit. And just by changing the ratio, we just want more compression. That's all we want. Is a little bit more compression. So it's the same thing over and over again. It gets down to no value. What if we wanted to trigger it earlier, trigger the compression faster? We change the threshold and we get quicker reaction out of when compression is going to take place. What if we wanted more of the transients to get through? We're going to have to adjust the attack time so that more of the transients get through. And look what happens when we do that. More of the transients get through, but we have less gain reduction. So all the random knob turning that you might see taking place on, YouTube, God bless them, God love you, but, in essence, it gets down to, how much gain reduction does this signal need while I'm recording? Nothing more, nothing less. I use the compressor as a tool. It's a dynamics controlling tool. It is not an effects processor. It is not a reverb unit. It's not digital delay. It's there to control dynamics. Sometimes some people have poor technique musically, whether it's a vocalist, guitarist, or whomever. They don't understand that they need maybe play a little softer, louder at certain points in time within the composition that you might be recording. The fact is that if you get them to work with you in this fashion and you could manage their dynamics by, using a compressor, it's going to help you. It's going to give you a more balanced sound. It's going to let you not have to use so many plugins when you're mixing. It's just going to make everything monumentally easier for you down the road. It's better to add just -3 dB on the front end and then add a little bit more as a plugin later on, as opposed to getting all heavy-handed, going all in, triggering this much gain reduction, because you got the ratio set to a limiting ratio, which is like about right now. This is set to, infinity to 1 or 10 to 1. Look at the amount of gain reduction. That's insane. So it's better for you to just back off the trigger point, to something that's normal, -10 decibels above, 0 dB is a good starting point, and a normal ratio for vocals, no more than 4, 2, 3, 4 to 1. Anytime you start getting to 5 to 1 and greater, you're entering into limiting ratios. Good for guitars, good for, loud, screaming passages, on certain instruments, that is, So the object is a little bit now, a little bit later, it makes it all sit tight in the mix. That's my approach, So here it is. I've done it with both the Warm Audio and the Alesis. Expensive and cheap. Indisputable fact. You could achieve any compression ratio you want. If you say, I want -3 dB on a vocal, which is a good starting place, then you get that. Just, you have to know, your attack, your release times can't counteract the note value, and you have to take your time. You can't be heavy-handed, twisting knobs all willy-nilly without having a goal. If you aim at nothing, you will hit nothing every time. If your compression goal is to have -3 dB of gain reduction, then that's it. Because the ear can't perceive something greater, or rather less than, or within the range of, I should say, of -1, -2 dB. You can't hear that. But -3 dB and greater, or if you got here, you're going to hear this. This is negative 12. Listen to it. Wow, wow, wow. The release time is too long. So you're going to have to extend the release time so you get less dancing out of the meter. You know? So this little difference right here, you're not going to hear. But look at the whole time. But if you change the release time to something fast and you start getting this, the release time this quick, oh, you're going to hear that. That's breathing that's going to take place. This is an improperly set compressor. Fast attack, fast release. Unless you're going for effect. I mean, you know, you can use it creatively. I'm not saying don't. But what I am saying is that before you break the rules, you have to first know the rules. You have to understand that this is a tool. It's not an effects processor. It's a tool to control dynamically loud passages recorded in music. For me, that's nothing more, nothing less. So it starts and ends with what gain reduction do I want on the signal? And how do I achieve it so that it's not dancing like this, which is indicative of a breathing compressor, so that the release time is longer and you get less of the breathing. Because that's imperceptible. You can't hear this. But guess what? The ear can hear this. Because this is not normal. Okay? So there I've done it with 2 compressors. That's the technique I use, the technique I've been using for over 40 plus years. It's worked for me. I believe in using a little in each step because it's just like salt. Too much in the beginning, it's going to ruin the whole dish. Okay? So there you have it. How to set your compressor manually. In the comments below, feel free to ask any question and I'll try to get back to as many as I can. But for right now, thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for stopping in. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and say hello to the family for me.